Right, before we begin this episode, we're currently on a push towards 700 subscribers. The support recently has been insane, but currently only 28.4% of you are actually subscribed. So, if you do enjoy our content and you want to see more, you want to be the first to hear about what's going on, then please do subscribe. It helps us to push out more content as much as we possibly can. And of course, if you can always change your mind later. It costs you nothing, and yeah, let's get on with the episode.
It costs you nothing. Get those subscribers in. I love the fact you mentioned that. Is that you don't have to. Yeah, you can do what you please. But it'd be nice if we can have you, and we certainly do appreciate that. Anyway, hello everybody, welcome back. I missed Sunday. I'm here again. So did Jake. We've got Luke and Jack as well. With us for this one. Bit of a lot to get through. Won't dwell on things too much. But let's say hi. Why not? Sort of just been kicking around a little bit. Anyway, I'm just sort of surviving.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of on my whole football doesn't exist kind of thing. Let's just pretend it's not here and maybe it will go away. That's kind of where I'm at still.
I think, I mean, we picked up a decent point against yourselves, Jordan. It was a flat game, really, wasn't it? But it's all in the bid to stay up, really.
Yeah, we didn't lose for the first time in ages, and we actually got a point. So life is looking slightly better.
Lovely jubbly. Yeah, we'll mention that Tranmere game, I'm sure. There's a few bits I think to say on our end, but let's jump straight in. Look, there's a lot to get through. I don't think we'll touch on every game in midweek because we still got these predictions to get through as well for the upcoming games on Saturday. But the one thing I will probably mention is, does anyone actually want to get promoted? That's probably the question I've got on my mind at the minute. Right, okay. I think we look at let's have a look at more the top 8. I think we should start with at the minute. So Walsall, league leaders, they dropped points at Carlisle, picked up a 1-1 draw there. Looks like a decent point for Carlisle there, against top of the table. I mean, look, Bradford won again, and look, the gap now has been cut to 2 points. Who would have thought we'd been saying that probably a few weeks ago, and more so in Bradford's case as well. They've done tremendously well recently with a 3-0 win over Cheltenham. We have a look at some of the other games. The likes of Notts County, they lost at home to Barrow, which is a poor result for them. Port Vale drew goalless with Harrogate at home. Crewe had another home thumping. I feel like we're seeing that quite a fair bit from Crewe. I think probably over the last year or two. There's been times in which they just get absolutely trounced at home. Like, they do have, we've praised Lee Bell and God knows what, and, the circumstances going there with injuries, etc. And another bad one in that game to Charlotte Tracy, but I feel like it's a regular occurrence there. Grimsby didn't capitalise. We on Crewe slipping up. We drew 1-1 at home to Tranmere. Am I missing anyone? I've just got to check. Oh yeah, Wimbledon. Oh yeah, they lost at Morecambe. That is a interesting one. That. And then you look at Doncaster as well, who also lost this one at Bromley. It keeps Bromley in the mix. Right, just your general thoughts. I think there's a lot to take in now. I don't really know where you start, to be quite honest. I think there's a few different places to start, but it depends. I don't know what you think, where you think is best and who to touch on. I'll just leave the floor open, I guess.
I'll tell you what, I'm probably not going to be very popular for this, but I'm going to touch on the AFC game because I think there's a bit more to it on that one. Well, quite simply, I think it's a case of they haven't shown Morecambe enough respect. You look at the lineups, and immediately you see Stevens on the bench, you see Bugiel on the bench, Tilly, Brown as well. And don't get me wrong, I think in terms of quality, I think Morecambe are probably the weakest side in the league. But you still have to, actually go there and get the result. You can't just sort of, we'll play anyone and we'll still get a result. Especially now that AFC have gone, I think that's their fourth game without a win. So for me, that was a real opportunity to get things back on track and make sure that it was just a blip. By then losing this game against weaker opposition, it starts to look like it's becoming more about form, and you don't want to set that losing trend because, as you can see with us, and as you can see with Chesterfield, Gillingham, once you're on that losing run, it doesn't look very good. I think mentally, I think AFC are stronger than that. They're not going to be falling apart by any stretch of the imagination, but I just think from Johnny Jackson, I think it was just a poor choice to rest quite that many players, and I think ultimately they've been punished for it.
Yeah, I've just had a look at their team, and I think there's certainly a couple of arguments to be made. And I get, rotation and all of that. With a lot of games coming up, I think in the space of a short period for quite a lot of teams. But I still look at that team that Wimbledon put out, and I still think it's a strong enough team to beat Morecambe. Look, not taking nothing away from Morecambe. Look, you're looking at it from the outside, and it's a huge result for them, and one at home as well. And they're still within touching distance of getting out of the relegation zone. We all mention about how very little quality I think they have on paper, but they're giving it a good go. They're getting results here and there, and they're giving themselves a chance still. But as you mentioned, 4 games without a win for Wimbledon. Look, they've drawn 2, so it's not like they've lost all 4 either. But I think it's certainly after losing to Bromley at home, a rare home defeat, last time out, it certainly did look the perfect opportunity to bounce back. And it's one that I haven't taken far from it, truth be told. I could be way off the mark, but look, their next game is Notts County. I think they'll want to prove a point as well. I think I'm losing to Barrow on Tuesday night as well. So that'll be a really good game, I think, actually, that. With Wimbledon at home, we know how strong they are at home. And I think they'll need that on Saturday.
Yeah. I think it's been a league. I think we've always said it's a league about consistency and like you say, a league about form. As much as any league is, but also we've got no outliers this year. We've got no quote big teams, if you will. We've got no one who you would expect to really win. I think everyone's sort of challenging around the same level. You look at Walsall, I wouldn't say their squad is massively better than any others in the league, but they've been the most consistent, and it's shown, and they were top by Christmas by a fair way. And then Bradford's come into the mix now. They've been consistent since Christmas, and suddenly they're second and knocking on the door for top spot. And you look at the other way, we've been consistent in how poor we've been, really, and we're rock bottom. I think it makes for entertaining viewing, but it's one of those where it really could be any team looking to get that promotion. They just need to get that consistency. Walsall, again, they piled on the pressure in the second half. They just couldn't quite get the goal, and I think that'll be their worry. They need to start putting the energy, as much as they do in the second half, into the first half somehow as well, and hopefully they'll smooth this rocky patch over and cruise to the league title. But it's getting close now. Obviously, Bradford on really good form. They absolutely smashed Cheltenham. And showing how good they are even without Andy Cook. I think that was a surprise. We all knew how good their transfer window was, but without Andy Cook, can they do it? The answer's looking like a yes. Like I say, Wimbledon, poor result. Again, Notts County, poor result. I quite like them. I rated them highly when we played them, and I think they had another one of the best January windows, but they've not really performed on Tuesday at least, and they need to start getting those results once again.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you for Bradford in terms of with the quality they brought in. It's a resounding yes more than anything. It feels mad that we're talking for the fact that it looks like at the minute they're in a very good position to get into the top 3, or to certainly finish in the top 3. They are already in the top 3. But they're 2 points behind Walsall. I mentioned it at the start, but who would have thought that a couple of months ago when Walsall were like, what, 12, 13 points clear at one stage with a game in hand. So it's all credit to them. Another good victory at home against a good Cheltenham team, in which I've been raving on for the past couple of weeks. And with Walsall dropping more points, I don't think I think playing Walsall. I think probably playing Walsall at the minute. I think there's not a better time this season to play them. I'm saying that because we head to them on Saturday, and I'm a little bit nervous at the same time. But it's there for the taking, and I probably want to think that or thought that a couple of months ago. What a job Graham Alexander's done there. Because it felt like for a part of the season, they had some good results, but they were just sort of just there in mid-table, not really doing a great deal. But they've just absolutely shot up the table, and they've hit this unbelievable run of form. It doesn't look like they're slowing down anytime soon. Another home victory. Top draw stuff from them. I mean, look, we mentioned Notts County. You probably backed them to beat Barrow, but they didn't. That was a result that took me by surprise a little bit. I watched the game against Carlisle, in which Barrow played there. I wasn't impressed with them at all. And they haven't been impressive for a few weeks, so that's a good result for them. And Doncaster, no one wants to go up. I did mention Crewe as well in 7th place. They have injuries, yes, and of course the one to Charlotte Tracy one is horrible if you've not seen it. Maybe it impacted the players, I think, and I don't think there'd have been too many people. But at the same time, you can't lose 4-1 at home. I know circumstances played into it there, but that's a poor one. And really, other than Bradford maybe closing the gap on Walsall, there's not real much change at all because no one else has capitalised. That's the fun thing about it.
I think that's what we've seen this week. It's capitalising and teams haven't. But go on, Jake. What are your thoughts on the league at the moment?
I just was going to say that it's a big win for everyone. It's big. Tuesday was big for the teams that are chasing the playoffs because there are a lot of points that have been gained. You look at Colchester and Bromley, who are now 9th and 10th, and as much as they were on the verge, they are now right on the edge of, 1 or 2 results, and they will be in there.
Yeah, they're not far away from us. Bromley are really 2 points behind us. But yeah, I was on about that Tranmere game. Like that, on one hand, maybe a missed opportunity, but I think for the fact taking what Tranmere have done this season, yes, all right, you changed managers and you played well, against Port Vale, and I thought you did a job on us on Tuesday, on an awful pitch, and we didn't play well at all. But on the other hand, we've actually gained a point on Crewe. So, we've closed the gap ever so slightly if we're trying to look at it there from that perspective. It's not much has changed, truth be told. For the top 7 and 8, it's, the teams, I think below them with Bromley winning, with Colchester winning. Colchester in particular on a very good run of form. And it's all up for grabs at the minute, still. If we're saying Colchester are still in the mix, Salford are definitely because they're on the same points. As much as with their form and whatnot, and that penalty. Don't even.
Yeah, it was a bizarre decision because it looked like it was going to be given, and then suddenly he gives offside, which, considering he'd run from his own half, just made no sense. But it's certainly an interesting one because even our Twitter comments, no one's really sure, but both managers thought it was. So a draw was probably fair, but it could have gone either way.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's have a look at the bottom. Because we obviously mentioned about the top, but let's have a look at the bottom. I mean, look, as we've mentioned, Carlisle picked up a point against Walsall. They picked up 3 huge points against Barrow the other week, and it looks like I think that would be the spark that they needed. I think they've been gradually improving ever so slightly under Mark Hughes in the games that he's had. I think he probably just noticed a bit of a trend from, for the first few games. They were losing, then they were losing. I think he lost his first couple, lost 2-1, then lost, was it 1-0 to Newport? And then he had a couple of draws in there. So they're picking up a few more points there, then they win there, and then another point there against, Carlisle. They're unbeaten in 4 now. Are Carlisle. I mean, they drew Walsall, if I say Carlisle. Probably still need a few more wins, but you probably think that's going to. I mean, look, 3 points for Morecambe's massive. Obviously, Tranmere picking up that point at Blundell Park. What do you think about that? I think with Morecambe winning and Carlisle, picking up a point, Jack, in particular.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a difficult one, and I was trying to I was discussing it on social media before the game. You look at it, if you said we wouldn't lose the next 2 games after Adkins was let go, I'd absolutely take it. I mean, Port Vale hadn't lost a league game in this year, and then Grimsby, you've come into it not losing in your last 6 games and winning 4 of them. For a team that's won 1 game in 14, it would be a miracle not to lose at least one of those 2. So 2 draws on paper isn't a bad result, but you look at it lined up to those results on Tuesday night, and it just doesn't look like enough. It's 2 of our hardest games we've played in the past 7 days. It's that's the way to put it, but it's nerve-wracking stuff, and as a football fan, you don't want to be in that position, really. The game, I think, first half we played really well. We played with our heads up. We played looking to create chances and play football. I think too many times this season we've been looking to hit and hope, and we've not really had that footballing aspect, if you like, especially in the first half. And then we made subs, conceded obviously silly penalty to give away, and those subs sort of made it so that we didn't really have a goal scorer.
Having quite the season is terrible. I've got to say that.
And I don't want to. Yeah, I mean it's an unfortunate one, and I think from a squad point of view, it might help if someone else comes into the mix, but we've got no one there, and at the moment we're playing 1 centre back and a back 3. It's bizarre stuff, really, but we're picking up points even if it's just a draw. But the subs we made, it was attacking subs. I agreed with the players that came off because they were knackered because they'd been running all game, but the ones that came on were sort of to press, and I think more used to hold down a win. So as soon as we go 1-1, I didn't really have much hope. It was more about protecting at least a point. And it's finding a squad that complements each other. I don't think Adkins ever did. I don't think he'd ever found it. Crosby, it's worked in 2 first halves. You need to prolong that, and I think it's getting the energy and then sort of figuring out, okay, who can we bring on? I think there's younger talents maybe that you could look to rather than, with the greatest respect to them, Harvey Saunders and Josh Davison, really, because we need goals and they've not quite found the back of the net this season.
Yeah, it just felt. I think the game on Tuesday just felt really flat, certainly on our end. Even after we scored that penalty, I didn't think we'd get a winner. It was just that final ball was missed. I thought we were better second half. I mean, first half, certainly for the first half an hour in it, I thought we were absolutely dreadful. Obviously, I mean, that goal happened. It's a good finish from Finley, but I mean, it shouldn't have really come to that because that ball was about 5 miles over the line before it even got to that. But we'll ignore that. And I just wish we'd have just dealt with it better. I don't know, maybe pushed out quicker. I think we could have done. Let's have a look at the host league. Look, I'm still on the edge. Like, is it a good point? Is it not? I'm really not sure. Not much has changed. Just a point apiece for me and Jack there. Yeah, Luke's still bottom.
Doesn't
Happy
look
days.
good for me, does it?
Yeah. MK are terrible, and Luke's bottom of this. It's all going well at the minute. I think you're probably lucky that in the actual league, Tranmere are worse than you lot.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't think for much longer at the minute, to be honest, but we'll see.
I don't think you're that. I honestly don't think you're that bad, as much as we take the Mickey there. Yeah, look, as well as the other teams that are around there, Accrington, win against MK, a managerless MK Dons now. It's bad to worse for you lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had question marks over the timing of Lindsay going as it was. Like regardless of whether you want him in or out, it just felt like weird timing to me, because ultimately we've now gone into that Accrington game with I think Gladwin, our interim manager, had about an hour on the training ground, something ridiculous like that, and that's not the sort of preparation you need for a game like that against Accrington, because I mean, yes, we're quite far away from the relegation battle at the minute, but you keep losing. Especially by giving points to the teams below you, you can end up in that battle. And, we've got Morecambe next. We're going into that game with slightly more preparation, but still not much. I don't know how long it's going to take us to find a new manager on a permanent basis, but it just feels like everything's up in the air, and we need that sort of I don't know, that sort of confidence back, because you can see the team is absolutely drained. I think if you look at both goals from that game, it's absolute basic errors that we're making. It's the bare minimum, and these are the sort of goals that we've been watching Morecambe concede all season. Carlisle concede all season, Tranmere concede all season, and now we're conceding those same sort of goals, and that's where I'm starting to worry, because you can see the players, their heads have gone. And you need someone there to bring them back again. We've got a lot of leadership characters missing within the team. Thompson's out for the season. Who knows where Lewington is? That's a whole other thing. I could go on for a while about that one. The only reassuring thing for us is supposedly Lawrence Maguire and Jack Sanders, two of our centre-backs, were supposedly travelled with the squad for the Accrington game. And Maguire is one of our leadership figures. So if we can get him back in time, maybe for Morecambe, that would be the perfect timing to just set us straight and at least get us away from any weird potential relegation shenanigans.
It's got to be a win, isn't it? It's got to
It
be
has
a
to
win.
be.
It's just, look, 7 games without a win, 6 defeats. I see, I don't know, a mixture of factors. I mean, you've obviously got rid of Lindsay. I think the players, I don't know, I just think they're woefully low on confidence. I think that's part of it. But I think they've got themselves in that position. So whether you can give that as an excuse, I'm not sure, to be quite honest, or to how far. Is it? Yeah. No excuse. But look, it's a win for Accrington. They've a bit more of a cushion now. I mean, the 7 points clear of Morecambe. I mean, going off with that win the other week against Tranmere, big for them. Harrogate with a point at Port Vale is a big point for them. They've moved further away ever so slightly. I feel like they're good at grinding out a point on the road at Harrogate, especially setting up for a 0-0. Which is never a bad thing, especially at a top end side. Gillingham, Jesus Christ. Credit to John Coleman, he's gone in there and he's somehow, done worse with this current crop. He's somehow done, somehow done worse with this current crop. I think the players have not been great, and I don't think John Coleman has shown any promise. In the unlikely event that he wanted the job next season, I don't think he was. I think it was always going to be an appointment to the end of the season. I think it's safe to say he's been ruled out of that now. 3-1 win for Newport there. You're on about MK potentially being dragged into it. Maybe Gills can if they're not careful. After beating Morecambe, after beating. And then after beating Morecambe the other day, so it's come crashing back down to earth with, the Bobby Camera performance that was top draw, to be honest. But, yeah, my God, I don't know where you keep going with Gillingham. What an awful season they've had. Anyone want to go?
I think, you look at the table now. I think, obviously, like you say, both MK and Gillingham, that they are really struggling. For me, looking at the table, Morecambe are going to have to. I'm looking at 40 points as probably the safety spot. Morecambe would have to get 11 points from 11 games. It can obviously go other ways, but the way teams are going, I wouldn't expect too much more. That would mean MK has to get 1 point, Gillingham 2 points.
I'm not sure we can do that.
Well, that's the thing, is it? So I think both teams are probably safe, and that's purely down to how inconsistent and the situations that the bottom three have put themselves in, rather than the situations at MK and Gillingham. I think they are very, very lucky that this season there are teams worse.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, no, that's pretty much where we are. Obviously, good win for Fleetwood at Crewe. I know we mentioned Crewe at the beginning. With them, losing at home. And the fact that they get, when they do lose at home at times, I just see them get pumped. Really, like they concede, 3, 4, in some instances 5, as they did Chesterfield early in the season. And then Swindon Salford happened 2-2. What do you think about that one, Jake? And just as a game as a whole, I know we touched on a penalty. What did you maybe think of, like Swindon or the Salford performance? I saw Kelly in my scored as well, in which I saw that you mentioned the other day that he was apparently out for the rest of the season, but he's somehow returning record time or something like that. Was that right? Was I thinking that right?
At the end of December, he went off with an injury, and then a few weeks later, he's out for the season. He needs surgery, and then he was back and playing in March, which is very bizarre. So I don't know what's happened there. If he's not
Give
had
that surgeon a pay rise.
Yeah, I don't know whether he's not had it or something, but it's bizarre. But overall, it was a weird game because we started really, really poorly, and Swindon looked really, really good. And then they got probably a deservedly goal because it could have been a couple up at that point. And then we grew into the game, we changed our shape and looked good going forward, caused them a lot of problems. And then we got back in the game, started again slowly after half time. And then they scored again and we grabbed the goal from kick-off, which I half missed because I was complaining that we conceded and left Harry Smith open in the box, which is so like us to just be stupid defensively. But I'll take a point.
Yeah, I think this against a rejuvenated Swindon as well. I think you probably certainly would at the minute because again now they're another side on good form and are doing all right. We'll see. Actually, that's a point. Holloway's under contract till the end of the season. Do you think he might stick around for next year? I think for Swindon at the minute, I think you're on your hands and knees begging him for it. I know there's obviously more problems higher up, but I think if there's a chance to keep Holloway for another season, I think at the minute, they've got to try and take it the way they're going at the minute.
I'd be surprised if they didn't try and keep him because he'd want to stay. He was out of the game for quite a while, so he obviously didn't have that many opportunities. He's liked there, which he isn't at other places like Grimsby. So I think it'd be a good move for him to stay for another year.
Yeah, don't start. But yeah, probably. I think that's everything for on Tuesday. Obviously, let us know in the comments what you thought about your team. What was your performances like? Were you happy with your result? Whether your team, I don't know. We like to hear your opinions. We do read all your comments, and of course they are very much appreciated. Let's have a look at Saturday. Another round of fixtures. There's no game. We're recording this on the Thursday. There's no game tonight, thankfully. So that means darts takes priority. Let's have a look at Saturday. We'll obviously have a look at it again. We'll sort of just give our predictions of the game. 2 games in the 12:30 kickoff. We'll start, as I've mentioned earlier in the pod, about AFC Wimbledon and Notts County. I think both have a point to prove, certainly in AFC Wimbledon's case, after without a win in 4 games, back-to-back defeats against, all right, a decent Bromley side. So I think there's probably, maybe at home, maybe slightly disappointing for them with how good they have been at home. But again, against a decent side. And then the one at Morecambe, which was, look, I'll be honest, pretty poor looking on face value. Notts County had a pretty poor defeat against Barrow in the week. I'm just going to be one. I'll be honest, I just feel like I'm going straight down the middle again for this one. It's just the feeling in me. I feel they're not so perfectly capable of taking something from there. I think it's maybe an aspect as well. I think you mentioned the team, the fact that, the likes of Matty Stevens will come back in for this one. I think maybe, and they'll be fine and ready to go. But at the same time, I think, I get rotation, but yeah, maybe this game is, maybe there was one eye maybe on this one. I don't know, who knows? But I think you still got to take every game, as you take them, really, the same importance. But I'm going to go straight down the middle, I think, for the draw.
I think statistically that it would make sense for it to be a draw on this one. I was sort of looking through the fixtures there of Notts away games. I don't think they've actually beaten any of the other sides in the top 7 away. So straight away that kind of rules out one outcome for me. And then of those 4 games that AFC haven't won, 3 of them were away. And obviously that you've mentioned the sort of shock result, as it were, against Bromley. I think if there is a winner, it's probably AFC, but I do think this is a draw.
I'm going to be different. I actually think Notts can get a win. I talked about it on Sunday. Matty Stevens is now no goals in 4 games, and Wimbledon are no wins in 4 games. I think there's a huge link between the two. Obviously, I appreciate he only played 25 minutes on Tuesday, but still, it counts. And I think, I've always said he's sort of a hot and cold player, and I wouldn't really know when he's going to hit form or if he's going to hit form. When he does, Wimbledon seem to win, so they'll be hoping that. But I don't know. I have my worries about that, so I'd go for a Notts County win.
I'll say AFC Wimbledon purely because they would have been looking at this game and they need to respond against that performance from Tuesday. They've beat Notts County 4 out of the 5 times they've played, so I'll go Notts County. Not Notts County, Wimbledon.
We're all split. Love it. Right, and the other game we're looking at 12:30 is it involves my lot, Grimsby Town, as we make the trip to league leaders Walsall. Now, I think I said earlier in the pod, I think this may be a half decent time to play Walsall, with them, stumbling a fair bit recently, struggling to get really any momentum going as they did at the start of the season. Obviously against the Grimsby side, 7 matches unbeaten, nowhere near at our best on Tuesday, as we've mentioned. But we should be coming into this game, full of confidence, and with the chance to get something in this. Yes, we've had a couple of injuries. I think since then we had a couple on Tuesday night. Doug Thorne going off. I think that may be a cause to. I think maybe changing system again. Probably go back to a back 4, which is something it looked like we did on Tuesday when we brought on Warren at right back. But that's a different conversation for another day. I'd love to say we'd get a win. Again, it's another game in which I will happily snap your hand off for a draw. We know how good Walsall can be on their day, especially at home. Obviously, they've not had the best of times recently. I think didn't I see a comment from, was it Liam Gordon the other day before Carlisle? They said that where everyone's cup final at the minute. I think there's I don't know. At the same time, I don't want to annoy any Walsall fans, but we're playing Walsall and they've not been on the best of form at the minute. I don't think there's really much to be afraid of, truth be told. Yes, they're top of the table and they've done really well today. They're not top by accident. But I just think it's a little bit excessive. But I can maybe see why he said that. But nah. And I'm going to say draw. I honestly feel confident we'll get something. If there is a winner, I do think it'd probably edge towards Walsall. I think with style and etc. and a couple of other things. But yeah, I don't really want ourselves to lose. And I don't think we really should be going into games expecting to lose at the minute. And a draw, I think, won't be a half decent. But I think a draw will be a half decent result.
Yeah, I mean, I'm struggling to call this one. I'm really struggling to call this one. Walsall haven't won in 3. Obviously, Grimsby the last 2 have been draws. Like I said, I think it's a really, really tricky one to call. I think there will be a winner. I just can't quite put a finger on which way it's going to go. I'd lean maybe more towards Walsall just because over the course of the season we've seen that sort of mental strength from them. I think they have faltered a little bit, obviously, in recent times, but eventually that win does have to come, and I think it could well be now because it's now or never for them.
I think you're being slightly pessimistic there, Jordan. I think you're not giving Grimsby enough credit. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they won.
I think it was maybe because of Tuesday. I was a little bit. Yeah. It just felt really flat. But at the same time, we've done very well just to get to this point. Maybe Yeah, I still worry about these sort of games. I think I always have done that. It's not a case of this season. It's just for the fact this has been going on for a few years. It's just me.
That's the thing. It's following Grimsby, isn't it? And I know that with Tranmere, you can understand and you can picture these sort of results happening. But I wouldn't be surprised with a Grimsby win. I'm going to go for a draw, but I think, and it's all credit to Walsall. I think they're a great side, and I think we all think they're a great side. They're top of the league for a reason, like we've all said. But it's when they're consistent, they really show their form, they really show their strength, and they're just not finding that consistency at the moment. And I think they're sort of still finding their way back from it, and it's been a bit of a struggle. I think they've got that sort of. At least I don't think they're gonna drop out of the automatics. So I think they'll be sound for that. But the pressure's on now. I think if the form was there for Walsall, I'd go for them. But they've had dipped in the last 3 games, so I'd go for a draw because I think they'll really be trying. But so will Grimsby, and Grimsby are on better form. So I think I wouldn't be surprised by a Grimsby win, but I'll go for a draw.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the draw as well. It's 2 good sides. Grimsby don't draw often, but I do think they'll draw on Saturday.
We've drawn our last 2, so there's something there. Although I felt like one draw was better than the other. And I think we're due I think we're due a win against Walsall. We've lost 6-1 and 4-1 our last 2 games against them. I think that's probably why we've been battered by them twice. We're due one. Right, let's have a look at the others. Barrow, Accrington. Yeah, I'll be honest. It's not one that gets the blood pumping. Barrow had a good win at Notts County in the week. Accrington, good win against AFC Wimbledon. God, oh no, I've had a mare there. I'm so sorry, Luke. Do you forgive me?
I'll let you off on that one.
I've got AFC Wimbledon from. No, Accrington had a good win against MK Dons. There we go. A win for Accrington would be big. I don't think Barrow are really going to threaten the relegation places or anything like that. I think I'm probably just going to go for a Barrow win just because they're at home. It's just one of them in which, I'm yeah.
I mean, you'd be right to say so. Of Barrow's last 5 home games, they have lost 2, but they've won the other 3. So they are starting to sort of grind results out a little bit, at least on their own turf. And I mean, even though they beat us, I still don't think Accrington are very good. I think that's just because we were that bad. So for me, this is a Barrow win.
Yeah, slightly just optimism from my part, obviously. I think someone commented about how sort of sensible I was and not biased towards my own team and our struggles. But I think this is sort of where it comes into it. I hope the Barrow win. I am sorry, Accrington fans. It's as simple as that. I think we need other teams to drop into that battle, and unfortunately, Accrington and Harrogate are the 2 that I can see joining us. But both are putting good results recently. I wouldn't be surprised. Accrington seems to turn up when it matters. I mean, against ourselves, against MK, but they didn't win against Harrogate. Yeah, I hope it. I can't say anything other than a Barrow win, can I?
Yeah, I agree. Barrow win. Their home form's been quite impressive for a side that haven't been impressive all season, so can't see it going any other way.
Awesome. Let's have a look at Cheltenham Colchester. Now, this game is a pretty interesting one. Cheltenham, they've done okay. I mean, they have gone 3 games without a win, although you probably do take into consideration the size that they have played in there with Walsall, Grimsby and Bradford. No shame losing away at Bradford in the week, especially with their home form. Colchester, I know Luke raves about them a lot. Another good win at home to Chesterfield. In the week, the 1-0 victory there. Looked the better of it. Chesterfield didn't have a shot on target. I think a draw, will be a very good result for Colchester. But there's a part of me that itches towards a Colchester victory. I think they probably see the league table now. I think they've probably got a real chance there. Yes, it won't be an easy game. Cheltenham are a good side, especially at home. They've been very good at home. But I just feel like I honestly think Colchester could come up with 3 points there. I think it'll be a very tight game, though. I don't think there'll be much in it.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. This is going to be a close game, but ultimately, Colchester haven't lost in the league since the 4th of January. So again, I think if I was leaning towards a team to actually win the game, it would be Colchester. I do think we have to respect Cheltenham as well. How many times have I said Cheltenham are a good little side, and they are. They can pull off some decent results, and I think I'm going to sit on the fence on this one. I'm going to go for a draw.
I echo both of your thoughts, really. Colchester a good side, climbing the table. Cheltenham good side. They're probably steadying at the moment. I mean, they're the most consistently inconsistent team we've seen. Really, 12 wins, 12 losses, 10 draws. So fair enough to them. And they've never been in huge runs of form. They've never been in huge sort of losses of form, if you will. They've just been steadily going along. But I say Colchester win. I think if you're going to make a move at this time of the season, you need to do it. So the only sort of Colchester have to win. They have to win if they want to climb that table.
Yeah, I agree. Colchester, they've been impressive all season, and they're going to continue that and do really well.
Yeah, as I said, I don't think there'll be much in there. We'll stick with Chesterfield because they've got Newport at home this weekend. It's 15th against 16th, with Newport being 15th. Let's be honest, two sides that doesn't look like they've got much more to play for. It looks like it's going to be steady mid-table finishes with the way that they're going. Chesterfield have been they're on really poor form actually. They've lost the last four, and they've lost to the likes of Walsall, Swindon, Crewe, and then last time out at Colchester, in which they finished a game with 10 men, with Paddy Madden getting a late red card there. Newport have been pretty inconsistent themselves, but they've been better more than they have been worse, if that's even much of a saying there. With a victory against a really poor Gillingham side, especially after coming after back-to-back 3-0 victories at home. One at home to Cheltenham and one away at Doncaster. Funnily enough, I just get the feeling that, I know you look at Chesterfield, I mentioned that they didn't have a shot on target in the week. I honestly think that this game has goals in it. And it's probably just for the nature that if you can get Chesterfield on a good day, they can get a few. Newport, they can get a few. I also noticed that these are two sides that, can concede a few, especially in Newport's case, 54 goals conceded this season. That's the same amount as Tranmere.
That's always bad.
I have to, yeah. And I think that's the most in the league, yeah. I think it's a game that could go either way. I wouldn't be surprised if Chesterfield win it. I think Chesterfield could do with a win with their recent form, but I also won't be surprised if Newport win it. But I don't know. It depends what Newport turn up. I sort of get like two versions of Newport. There's one in which they're very capable of blowing teams out of the way, and I also see one in which absolutely crumble. And although we have seen the more better of Newport recently. I know I've said this without picking anyone yet. Let's go Newport. Let's make Kieran happy. If he's listening to this, and especially with the win in the week. Yes, we mentioned how poor Gillingham are, but I just think this is a Chesterfield side. They've been hit with injuries. They've been hit with a lot of stuff this season, and
I'm going the other way on this one, straight up. Of those 4 defeats that Chesterfield have had, 3 of them have been away. Their home form isn't actually too bad. They have dropped probably more points than they should have at home, but they are a little bit better there. And Newport, for me, I think they're a side that will beat teams that are poor or out of form. I'm not convinced they're a team that can really put teams to bed unless those factors sort of come into play. I think obviously Chesterfield are a little bit out of form, but I still think even with all those injuries, I think they have enough quality at home to get the job done. Chesterfield win.
Fair enough. I think I echo everything that you guys have said. I think I'd be confident that it's not going to end in a draw. That's all I can really say. I'd be confident that one team is going to win it. For me, my prediction is as good as flipping a coin. I'm going to go Chesterfield and know my luck. It's probably going to be Newport.
Yeah, I'm going to go Chesterfield. It could literally go either way, and it wouldn't surprise me. But I think at home, Chesterfield will just about win it.
Yeah, like I said, I won't be surprised if they come out and win. I really wouldn't. I don't know. As Jack said, I think it's literally just a case of a flip of a coin. I don't think there's two sides there which have got not a great deal left to play for. So we might as well. I think we're starting to get to the point where let's see, what sort of works. Getting, I won't say completely yet because there's still about 10 or 12 games to go, but I think we're sort of getting there. I feel, but won't be surprised if either win. Doncaster, Swindon. Now this is a very tough game for Grant McCann's side. At home. We all know the job that Ian Holloway's done there at Swindon. We've talked about it enough. Doncaster off the back of a 1-0 defeat at Bromley last time out. That was following 3 victories in a row. They were against Morecambe, Accrington, and Newport. Obviously, Swindon drew 2-2 with Salford on Tuesday night and have lost only once in their last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They've only lost once in their last 9, and that was to Harrogate, surprisingly enough. I actually think Swindon will get something from the game. I don't think it'll be all 3 points, though. I'm going to go draw.
Yeah, it's not a bad shout. Again, it's one I think will be a close one. Swindon have become tougher to beat all of a sudden under Holloway, and again, I'm not necessarily convinced by Doncaster's home form, but at the same time, we are reaching that sort of critical time of the season, and as things stand, they're in that third place spot. If there's ever a time to really kick on, especially after that Bromley game, because they huffed and puffed in that game. They should have scored from the chances they had. I would expect a side of their quality to put that right against Swindon, so I'm going to go with Doncaster win.
Yeah, I'm quite literally copy and paste exactly what you said, Luke. Yeah, I think their away form's better than the home form for Doncaster. But they need to get points on the board. They need to get wins on the table. So I'm going to have to go for a Doncaster win.
Yeah, Doncaster win. They're at home. Swindon, if they can play like they did against us for that first 5 minutes, and even just do it for 45 minutes, then they will have a good chance. But I think Doncaster will just edge it.
Yeah, I think it certainly seems bigger, I think, for Doncaster at this stage. Fleetwood, Port Vale. Fleetwood have done okay in recent weeks, 2 wins and a draw in their last 3. And then he's, with a really good 4-1 victory against Crewe in the week. Port Vale, a 0-0 draw at home to Harrogate in the week. Back-to-back draws with the other coming against Tranmere as well last weekend. So a couple of draws there. Again, I don't think there'll be a hell of a lot in this game. I think Fleetwood might fancy their chances at home maybe in this one, but they have been Jekyll and Hyde. We are recording this as well. Literally before we started recording, I saw that Pete Wilder's been given a free match touchline ban for his red card at Grimsby the other week. So there you go. I just feel like I love sitting on the fence. I honestly can't pick a winner in this one. It just feels set up for another draw. I just get the impression with this one.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying with that one, but for me, I am going to back Port Vale. They are 5 unbeaten, and well, with Fleetwood, we've been saying that hot and cold all season. They've had a few good results in a row. They've just had a really good result. That means they're due a poor one. So for me, this is Port Vale.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Port Vale; they've still not lost in the league this calendar year. So they're showing forms of consistency. As I said, anyone who's consistent will do well. But I see a draw. I think, yeah, draw. Two well, not equal sides, but I think Fleetwood really showing their form in the last game. Port Vale consistent, but obviously Fleetwood's at home, so yeah, nice and easy draw.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a draw. Fleetwood are quite good at just picking points off good sides, and I can see it happening again. Port Vale are a little bit inconsistent, but they are on a good unbeaten run, so I'm going to say draw.
I think they could take a lot of confidence after Tuesday's game as well. At Crewe, it was a very good win there. So, I don't think there's another game I just can't see there being, a great deal in. And it certainly feels bigger for Port Vale in the sense of, they're more up there. But we'll have to see. Gillingham, Bradford. This one I'm not sitting on the fence on. To be quite honest with you, Gillingham lost last time, as they're pretty good at doing. They lost 3-1 at Newport. This was after a rare victory against Morecambe last Saturday. As for Bradford, I mean, look, we all know they're flying at the minute. Maybe one or two questions about them away at the minute, but they've won as well. They've won the last two. Won very late at Salford, and of course at the beat Bromley as well. You back Bradford to go there and pick up 3 points again. To be perfectly honest.
Oh yeah, you absolutely do. You don't really need the stats to try and figure out what you'd be smart to predict for this one. I think everything points towards a Bradford victory. It would be so typically League Two if Gillingham go and win this now. But for me, I can't get past it. It has to be Bradford.
Gillingham win. I just want to be different. Someone's got to say it.
You're being serious?
Yeah, why not? We'll go for it. I think their form's got to turn at some point. I wouldn't be surprised.
You just want the credit in case you're right.
I might be the only person on earth to predict Gillingham to win that game. So if I'm right, absolutely, I can take that credit. Why not? No, I fully think Bradford will win, but you've got to be different sometimes. It's League Two, football happens, things unexpected happen. It'd be a great setup for our game against Bradford if they had a loss and stopped an unbeaten run.
I'm going to go Bradford because I see no other outcome than a Bradford win.
Yeah, Jack's on his own with this one.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, neither. This is a big game. Look, Harrogate, they host Carlisle. I don't think there's really much more that needs to be said. Look, if Carlisle, I think this is a game in which Carlisle will fancy themselves in. So especially in recent weeks, they've picked up a few points here and there with that win at Barrow more recently. A really good point against Walsall in the week. Harrogate, they've got a little cushion there, but, if they lose this, and if you're looking at the likes of Morecambe and how Tranmere do, there's opportunities there for them to be clawed back into it. You know what? Let's go for a Carlisle win. I really think they'll go to Harrogate and get something from there.
Yeah, I think I'm agreed with you, to be fair. I think Harrogate's form hasn't been too bad if we're looking at recent form. But Carlisle are making themselves very, very difficult to beat. And I could see this being a pretty routine 1-0 win. The charge is on, we're going to survive sort of victory.
Yeah, I think Carlisle will get a win from that game. I think they've got to. A win will put them level on points with ourselves. So, yeah, they'd be out of the relegation zone if they got a win and we didn't. So, Carlisle.
Yeah, Carlisle, they're improving under Mark Hughes, and it's a very winnable game for them.
Absolutely. I think these are the sort of opportunities that I think they've got to take if they want to get out of it. MK Dons are up against Morecambe at Stadium MK this weekend. I was going to say it's a big game in the relegation battle. I mean, it is from Morecambe's perspective. I wish, it could be like that for hopefully MK Dons in a few weeks' time. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, look, we know that Morecambe aren't great. They picked up a very good win against, your best friends on Tuesday night, so they might be on the high of that. MK Dons, without a manager, they lose games quite often. Let's go for an MK victory. I think this is, if you don't win this, then just pack up and go home now. I think it won't be easy though. I don't think it'll be that easy, but yeah, you've got to win this one. I think you've got to.
It's going to be nervy. It's going to be very, very nervy. And I think the thing that worries me is every other game we've conceded a penalty for pretty much since Connell Truman's come in. So I feel bad for him, to be honest. I mean, he's just signed and always has to face a penalty, which does mean technically Morecambe are due one, which isn't a good sign for us. And I did hear a stat that once Morecambe have gone ahead this season, they've never lost from that position. As long as they've scored first, they don't lose. So the first goal's crucial. I don't know whether I can see us getting it or not. I really hope we can. We need to play better than we did against Accrington. If we play like we did against Accrington, then yeah, that's a free Morecambe victory. But I think this is the last time I'm going to give us a chance and say we're actually going to win a game. If not, we're in the relegation battle and just play the under-18s for the rest of the season at that point, honestly. But no, we have to win this one, surely.
I'm going to say a draw. I think you're looking at MK on horrendous form. Sorry, Luke. But then you're looking at a Morecambe side who are fighting for their lives. Don't necessarily think they might have the quality to stay up. But again, a draw would put them level on points with ourselves. Bear in mind, we don't win. So it gets them out of the relegate, or could get them out of the relegation battle. So yeah, a draw for MK and a draw for Morecambe, obviously.
I'm going to say MK Dons because it just has to turn their form at some point. They've got a better squad on paper, and I think they'll win it.
Yeah, the Ducks got a break sooner rather than later. You'd like to think, anyway. Salford are up against Crewe this weekend. Now, Salford, obviously, with the 2-2 draw at Swindon last time out, 3 defeats in a row before that, including that late one against Bradford last Saturday. You look at Crewe, obviously, on the back of a 4-1 home defeat even to Fleetwood, had won the last two before that against Chesterfield and Barrow. I think this is a game that could go either way. I think both have had struggles with injury. I think if I'm picking a winner, I'm itching towards Crewe ever so slightly.
Yeah, I think this is Crewe. There has to be a bounce back from a performance as bad as that last one. And their away form, aside from the AFC game, hasn't actually been all that bad. So for me, I'm going to back Crewe to show that bounce back ability to keep them up there.
I'm going to have to sit on the fence with this one. I think you're looking at two sides around the same spots, around the same sort of situation as well. A draw. I think they equal each other out.
I'm going to use my heart over my head and say Salford are going to win. Even though probably won't, we've got players coming back from injury and everything's slowly coming back together. And we have a decent record against Crewe, apart from one time where we blew it late on. So I think we might just steal it.
Yeah, look, it's another game in which I won't be surprised if it goes either way. I won't be surprised if Salford win it, to be honest. It's one of those ones. It's another one where you could just flip a coin. And finally, Tranmere up against Bromley this weekend. We all know Bromley are fighting for those playoff places. They're certainly not out of the mix at all. They're sort of catching up to the likes of Grimsby and Crewe. They're not a million miles away. Tranmere, a couple of draws, since Nigel Atkins has gone. But we're at a point now where, draws mean nothing. They need wins. It's as simple as that. Do I see it against Bromley? No, to be quite honest. I think Bromley will win this.
I'm a little bit torn on this one. I'm going to be honest. Bromley are in good form, so I don't think they'll lose. But equally, Tranmere are proving to be a little bit harder to beat since Adkins is now gone. I could see this being a case of both sides sort of playing relatively safe. I could see this being a bit of a draw because Bromley are a tough side to beat as well. So I think it's going to be a case of just an edgy game that sort of fizzles out as a draw.
Yeah, I think we look at it. Carlisle, I think you could see them winning at the weekend. Morecambe, you could see them winning. If we don't want to slip into that relegation battle, we've got to win. So I can only say a win and be optimistic. I'd probably realistically say it's going to be a draw, but I mean, if we want to stay out of that relegation battle, we've got to go for a win.
Yeah, Luke's used the word I was going to use, edgy, because two teams that need to win for different reasons. So I think Bromley might just nick it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tranmere won.
Yeah, I probably agree with that. It's a huge game for both. Let's be honest, it's just one of them. And that's pretty much it. Obviously, let us know in the comments what you think about the games this weekend as well, what you think the results will be and the outcomes. We'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Finally, just before we wrap up, I just wanted to have to quick mention about Chesterfield owner Phil Kirk. Now, if you saw the unfortunate news in the week, he has been diagnosed with an inoperable cancer. He's receiving treatment, but it's not expected to deliver a cure, were the words from Chesterfield. So everyone at 40 Fever would like to send their support, the best wishes, their thoughts to Phil's family and friends, and of course to Chesterfield as well. It's never nice to hear any sort of news like that, and we wish them all the best, and we wish him all the best. going forward. But that's where we'll wrap up for this episode. If you did enjoy, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. We'll be around probably Monday, and we'll see you soon.